For more than 3 years, Spotlight on America has investigated serious complications from a popular IUD that has thousands of reports of breakage while inside a woman's body. Now, our team has discovered after we started asking questions, the FDA inspected the Buffalo, New York plant where the Paragard copper IUD is made and issued a critical report. Even so, the agency has taken little action since, despite a growing number of complaints. Jennifer Davis went through a terrible health scare last year with her Paragard IUD that ended with a hysterectomy. Would you have had a hysterectomy had this not happened?
No, I did not want another IUD.
You were afraid something.
I was afraid. These pictures are the actual device broken in my uterus.
Her 4-month ordeal started when she went to have her Paragard IUD removed at her doctor's office.
She tried to get it out and it was painful.
Surgery was required to get it out.
When they removed the IUD, it was broken in 3 tan white plastic fragments.
3 pieces?
3 pieces.
What's it like to see that?
It's unnerving. It's shocking.
2 of the pieces migrated and lodged near her fallopian tubes, a third embedded in her uterus. The breakage created a risk for serious complications, from excessive bleeding to perforation, even infertility.
It's like a ticking time bomb. Is it going to perforate something?
It didn't come out intact.
It's a problem because it's your body.
More than a dozen women have shared similar stories with Spotlight on America about Paragard breakage and serious complications. Our latest check of the FDA's adverse event reporting system showed in 2023 there were more than 1,200 reports of breakage, the most in a year since tracking began, with a total of more than 6,000 complaints, 80% deemed serious cases. As Spotlight first reported, a 2022 analysis of all IUDs showed nearly double the breakage reports for Paragard compared to other IUDs. Paragard's current warning label that doctors receive does acknowledge the possibility of breakage, saying Paragard can break and breakage can make removal difficult. Anybody ever tell you about the breakage risk?
No.
No one.
Nobody.
If they had warned you about the risk, what would you have done?
Hindsight, looking back, knowing what I've gone through, I definitely wouldn't have chose Paragard.
Jennifer says she didn't realize it happened to so many other women too until seeing our investigation last fall. What was your reaction when you saw our story?
Wow, this is out of control. It needs to be addressed.
Our team requested 2 years' worth of documents from the FDA about Paragard to see what the government has done to address the IUD's elevated risk for breakage and the danger it could pose to women. We discovered 1 year after we started asking questions, the FDA inspected Paragard's Buffalo manufacturing facility and issued this critical report. It faults the company for not adequately investigating breakage complaints and failing to implement adequate corrective action and preventive plans. Despite that critical report, for at least 2 years, the FDA took no public action against Paragard manufacturer Cooper Surgical, and it is unclear if the company even responded. We followed up with multiple Freedom of Information requests to the FDA to try and get some answers. The agency told us the company did not file a response to the inspection, and there is no requirement for them to respond. What does that say to you?
Lack of accountability. We don't care.
We also discovered Cooper Surgical issued a recall for a batch of IUDs due to sterility issues just before the FDA inspection in 2022. And the company received a warning letter in 2021 for advertising issues, citing a failure to communicate risk information associated with the IUD's use. My name is Angie Moreski. I am with Spotlight on America. We repeatedly tried to contact Cooper Surgical for comment, but no one responded.
What do you want to do today?
Jennifer is grateful her husband has been by her side through all of this and that she had insurance to help cover the nearly $60,000 in medical bills it racked up. Why did you decide to speak with us about this?
Just to help somebody else to know that this could happen to them.
She wants to see the government do more to address concerns. The FDA says they consider this to be a safe device.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
What's your message to the FDA?
Please address it, acknowledge it, tell people that this could break, this could cause, major surgery, this could affect the rest of your life.
Over the past 3 years, the FDA has repeatedly denied our interview requests to talk about concerns over Paragard. Despite that, we keep pushing to get more information and just learned after 2 years of no documented action, the FDA did another inspection at the Paragard plant in February of this year. We have asked for that report and will follow up with the findings. For Spotlight on America, I'm Angie Moreski. For the first time since we started reporting on complaints of breakage and complications involving Paragard's copper IUD, we've learned the FDA conducted a safety review after our initial inquiry in 2021. That report shows a stunning gap in information and what one longtime FDA expert called lax oversight.
These pictures are the actual device broken in my uterus.
During our investigation, more than a dozen women have told Spotlight about their experiences with the Paragard copper IUD breaking inside them during removal.
I was very scared.
Sharing the anxiety it caused.
It's like a ticking time bomb. Is it going to perforate something?
And concern over possible complications, even surgery at times required to remove it.
I don't want to take any risks with my life, unnecessary risks.
Since we started investigating, the number of Paragard breakage complaints to the FDA's adverse event reporting system more than doubled. The majority of those deemed serious and requiring hospitalization. Do you think it's a clear indication that there is a problem?
When it's happening thousands of times, yes, it's a problem.
Spotlight on America asked FDA expert Josh Sharlin, who's consulted for FDA-regulated companies for 30 years, to review the dozens of pages of newly obtained documents. This is one of the broken arms that reveal never-before-seen details of how the FDA investigated Paragard IUD breakage. What was your overall reaction after reading these documents?
My overall reaction is I really don't understand why FDA is not doing more.
And what makes you say that?
Well, to me, there are obvious gaps in knowledge about this device. What are the design specifications of the device? What testing has there been done to show the amount of force necessary to cause an arm to break off? Nobody knows those numbers.
And you find that shocking?
I find that shocking.
The FDA and Cooper Surgical have repeatedly told Spotlight breakage is rare and Paragard is safe.
It's not a numbers game. It's not like it's okay to injure 100 people, but if you injure 101, then you have to do something about it. It doesn't work that way.
Now, for the first time in the documents we obtained, we see FDA safety regulators acknowledge leaving IUD fragments in a woman's uterus has unknown consequences, and device breakage can subject patients to risks and cause anxiety for both patients and healthcare providers. But despite that assertion,
why is this product breaking?
Sharlin says the documents show the FDA failed to push Cooper Surgical to address safety concerns.
If a device is malfunctioning, it needs to be fixed.
The safety review identifies potential breakage risk factors, including length of use, fibroids, a device becoming embedded, and the force used to remove it. But while FDA reviewers said a targeted risk analysis would be helpful, the final report shows no request was made and notes the company has implemented no additional controls to address the reported product problems. Can the FDA require the company to do studies and research to figure out what's happening here?
Yes, it's called post-approval studies.
What does that say to you about the FDA regulating this company?
In my opinion, they're being lax in not requiring this obviously needed information.
The report also reveals the FDA launched its investigation only after our media inquiry. But despite multiple Spotlight stories documenting the harm women experienced and our continuing questions to the FDA, the agency did not disclose the safety review until this August.
What's the secret? It's a problem. They've identified it. Just let people know so people can be prepared.
Lauren Baker of Vancouver, Washington, is one of the latest patients to contact Spotlight about her experience with Paragard breaking when removed at her doctor's office.
She just looks up at me and goes, "Lauren, oh my God." And then she holds up the broken piece.
Tell me what you're thinking when you see that piece now.
It's got these sort of jagged edges, which first of all is very scary, imagining that jagged piece. I don't know what kind of damage, especially the pain I was having. We just don't know what the long-term effects are going to be. In a year or 2 years, when I decide to start trying to have a child.
Lauren had no idea breakage was even a risk.
Why did you decide to speak with us about this?
Just to help somebody else to know that this could happen to them.
Until her mother sent her this Spotlight story from earlier this year with Jennifer Davis of Nashville, who ended up getting a hysterectomy as a result.
That's how I found out about it.
You think you should have been notified?
Absolutely, yes.
Do you think doctors are not discussing this breakage risk with patients enough?
I think clinicians overall probably are not talking about it as commonly as is necessary.
OBGYN Dr. Mitchell Crennan says he's had several Paragard breakage cases referred to him as a complex family planning specialist. Have you had it happen when you've removed one of the Paragard IUDs?
Certainly have. It's typically one arm, not both, although recently I had a patient referred to me where both arms broke.
He says doctors need to do a better job of warning women about the risk.
I think it starts with clinicians just talking about it. It's important for them to know.
The only regulatory action resulting from the safety review was a warning label change, telling healthcare providers to assess for embedment and perforation if removal can't be accomplished with gentle pulling, with imaging if needed. The FDA told Spotlight that change was intended to help guide the counseling of women, but the agency did not require Paragard to notify doctors, even though it has the power to do so. Does it make sense that they didn't require them to do that?
Not to me.
Even more concerning, considering so many women like Lauren have told Spotlight their doctors were not aware of the breakage risk.
It's concerning that the FDA, that's supposed to be protecting consumers, taxpayers, are not seemingly warning or issuing notifications. This isn't a gotcha situation, right? Like, this is a, hey, we need to let people know that this is a problem.
Both the FDA and Cooper Surgical have declined our repeated requests for an interview. We did press the FDA asking if it is conducting any further reviews or investigations of Paragard breakage. A spokesperson would not answer that question directly, saying only surveillance continues as it does with all FDA-regulated devices. Meanwhile, a class action lawsuit representing more than 1,000 women who say they were harmed by Paragard is moving forward and expected to go before a jury trial in early 2025. For Spotlight on America, I'm Angie Moreski.